Let's Talk Oculus, a VR podcast, is proudly sponsored by the good folks at Patreon. If you want to support the show, join us on patreon.com/Let's Talk Oculus. What's up, Oculus nerds? Welcome back to Let's Talk Oculus episode 90. Bloody hell. Episode
90.
Wow. I'm your host, as always, Dan from Playtest VR, and I'm joined by my co-host, as always, Samson. How you doing?
Good. I am quite tired. The lovely people love to do their yard work at 8 a.m. and it's so fun to be woken up on a Saturday morning.
And you're not a early riser normally.
No. Working a second shift job, not usually up before.
No,
before
'cause you don't get home till like 9 or whatever, so that makes a lot of sense. But for those of you, for those of you listening and watching at home, obviously the MetaQuest showcase happened last week. We are recording this 2 days after, simply because I'm away. So if we're missing any news stories from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, just that's why. I mean, I guess we'll miss them anyway because we normally record on Sunday, so it's not much of a difference, right? But let's kind of get into it. There's not been many.
Apple will come out. That'll be the only news, really.
Yeah, Apple's the main news. Okay, that's actually a good disclaimer. We won't know what happened with the Apple. We know obviously their VR headset's coming out. We know it's more for the Quest Pro competitor rather than the Quest 3. So I don't think it matters too much. And when we'll talk about it later on, we'll have a podcast later in the month which will talk a bit about the Apple one. But if
it's cool enough, maybe we do a little. We're like, we just got to talk about this for 10 minutes.
Yeah, if it's cool enough. But I feel the only thing in the Apple one, I'll just leave it at this, is that I'm just really intrigued with the price. That's the biggest thing. I don't know. Are they going to do a $3,000 headset? I don't know. That seems steep for anything. I know their Macs are like that much, but still, it seems very steep. Yeah, but that's the only thing I'm intrigued by, to be honest. But I am looking forward to seeing more. But all right, so let's start with part one here. The dust is settled now, even though for us it's been a couple of days, but it's been a while now. There was the showcase, the hype. We were all buzzing from the live stream and all that, right? We got a podcast out straight away. But now the dust is settled, okay? We've had a few answers to a few things we didn't know. Okay, we'll talk about that in a second. We've had an Ask Boz who talked about a bunch of like clarifying.
Is that what he calls them?
Yeah, it's called Ask Boz. Ask Boz. And then obviously we've also got confirmed that the Meta Connect is actually 2 days. It's September 27th and the 28th. So
my
I don't
PTO's going away, man.
Yeah, we're gonna have to take a couple of days off. Oh, will we do a 24-hour live stream? Is that what we're meant to be doing?
Yeah, exactly. Ain't no sleep.
Well, we'll have to get some donations for that. I don't think I can do it without. We'll get a pizza ordered and all that stuff. But all right, let's talk about the showcase real quick. Obviously, last week's episode we went into in depth of what happened, but now that the dust has settled, Samson, you feeling still hyped about it? You feeling still good about it, or now that you've heard a few more things about certain games and such, is it like it was a decent connect and a decent showcase?
No, I'm still pretty hyped. I mean, I feel like the things I've found out were things that I wasn't already too excited about.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get into it, but like the NFL Pro Era. And on some other podcasts, I heard that the Attack on Titan, those devs, the last game they made was like the Bewitched broom game, which was pretty terrible. So I guess I might be like, all right, maybe I'll wait and see about that one. Yeah. And then so I got an Oculus 30. And I tried to use it to pre-order Asgard's Wrath, and it's like, no, you can't use that to buy a game that's on sale. And this game's not on sale; it's $60. All right, if I can't use it on a pre-order, tell me that, Meta. Why don't they just be honest?
To be fair to Meta, obviously, because I'm in the UK at the moment, I'm now switched to the British store on Oculus, and I tried that, and it did say pre-order. So maybe it's just the American store. It's just got mixed up.
It's so weird. And I don't even need the Asgard's Wrath because Meta already gave me that. When I bought the Quest 2.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll just wait for a referral code for that one.
The Oculus 30s come at interesting times. Like every time you're ready to pre-order something, it comes out with it and you can't use it. But then when the game actually comes out, it's like, nope, No. I mean,
Yeah,
it
this
makes sense.
is. I seem to be getting it so I got one June 2nd, and then I got one April 8th, and I got one January 26th. So yeah,
Bit
who
random.
knows what the yeah. But I
Have
have gotten
you
three this year, so yeah.
have you decided what to buy with the Oculus 30, or if you're going to
No,
use it?
yeah, I mean, I'll definitely use it. I think I haven't at least until next Thursday, so I'll see what drops next Thursday.
Hmm.
See if there's anything I want. I think I'm between, I did want Light Brigade and Steam, but I might buy that one. I might buy Drop Dead if I can find one other person to buy
Light
Drop
Brigade's
Dead.
still on sale at the moment as well, so you'll have to
Yeah,
wait
so I
till
have to
after
wait.
the
Yeah, exactly.
sale
Exactly.
before you can use it. I was actually tempted to buy Light Brigade 2 because it's something that I've actually really wanted, been on my radar, but I'm actually going to buy it for PSVR 2 just to kind of force me to use it more. And I feel like that game, Kimberly Kimberly, friend of the show, Patreon, she mentioned it in the Discord where she said that she'll only get exclusives for the PSVR 2, which kind of makes sense in one sense. I think for me, though, I came in PSVR 2 with the intention to, if it's going to be on PSVR 2, it's going to look better. If it's a visual thing, it's going to look better. And I think Light Brigade is quite visually meant to be
It
very
looks
nice
good,
with
yeah.
all
And the
the
haptics, the
effects
haptics.
and
It's a
haptics as
shooting game,
well.
so you want, yeah. I
Exactly.
feel
So I
like
think PSVR 2
if I
for that.
had it, sorry, good.
No, that's it. As I think
Done. All right.
PSVR 2 for it, yeah.
Yeah. I feel like for Star Wars Tales, that sounds way better. Zombieland, I've heard, is a hidden gem, way better on PSVR 2. Those I feel like there might be one other one that I am just forgetting, but those two I've heard are significant upgrades
The
from your Quest version.
I've played Tales of the Galaxy's Edge on PSVR 2. I just played the demo, and it's significantly better. Yes,
Yeah.
it's the okay. So the guns feel great because every gun is different and they have a different haptics on the PSVR 2. But the best thing about it was when you're in that bar. I forget what the bar is called, but it's like right at the start of the game, and if
Yeah.
you just see the photo of Tales of the Galaxy's Edge, the like updated version, you'll see what I'm talking about. There's a big guy there with like 10 eyes. I don't remember his name because I only did the demo. But just him coming into your presence and speaking to you had the same chills as Darth Vader did when you played Vader Immortal for the first time on Quest. It felt good. You really feel like you're in that environment. It feels kind of like cold and his voice sounds fantastic and it really gives you the immersion as you want and it does make a big difference. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's why when I was talking about like last week's show on the podcast, thinking of maybe PSVR 2 I'm on the selling, I just got to remember back of why did I buy this? And I bought this to play the AAA kind of titles on here. Like if Asgard's Wrath would be
And
on
walkabout with your roommates.
exactly, which I need to download to be honest. But if Asgard's Wrath 2, for example, was on PSVR 2, I would probably buy it on there because it makes more sense, right? So Bulletstorm, as we mentioned, which was announced in the showcase, that's also on PSVR 2, and I will buy that on the PSVR 2. So I'm sticking with the PSVR 2. I just need to remember why I bought it. You
Yeah.
know, sometimes it's easy when new shiny things come out. You're like, oh, I want this one. And when that Apple one gets unrevealed, which obviously the time of the show it will be, I will look at it and go, oh, But I'm
Yeah.
hoping that it's priced at $3,000 so I can just go, okay, I just can't really
And
afford it.
you're not quite like me, just like store them all up. You're flipping them. You're flipping them.
I'm flipping them. Like, and also I know as an Apple user for many years now, I just know that the first generation of things that
Yeah.
they do is never that good. Okay, there's always problems. There's always like thing. I remember the Apple Watch when it first came out. It wasn't that great. All the apps were like tethered to your phone, and now, the phones all run native. Everything's more smoother. It's a whole different experience. And now, pretty much everyone and their dog who has an iPhone has an Apple Watch as well. And I feel like it'll be the same thing. I think this one come out, and then maybe in 2 years' time, the second generation, and that will be the one that you'd probably want to get. But I'm like you. I'm like Kimberly in the Patreon. Shiny things.
Yeah.
I'm excited about the tech of VR. I would want to be tempted, but no. Just think about
What
PSVR 2, AAA games, and for the visuals and haptics, just play them on there.
if only you still worked at the Apple store, you could just use it while at work.
Oh,
I think that's what I'll have to do. I'll
I
just
would
go
have
to the
had a
Apple store.
25% discount as well. which have been nice.
Perfect. Yeah,
But,
my friends have asked me like and I like overconfidently I'm like, yeah, I'm getting this day one if I can use this with Steam. But yeah, there's no way I spend 3K on it. So it's more just I want to buy that day one.
yeah.
Day one. But yeah, also mention the Patreon. We got a few more. And I just want to say big ups. Big
Yeah.
ups. Thank you all. Thank you all for the support. It means
I
so
actually
much.
didn't write them down because I was not prepared to actually mention. But yes, big ups. We have sorry, Richard. Richard came in yesterday as well. So we had Richard, Rick, and Chris, three Patreons, all from. I mean, since we did the live stream of the
Yeah.
Quest Showcase.
Thank
So
you.
thank you so much for your support. It means the world to us, and it keeps us going. Almost on episode 100, which is gonna be quite the show. I hope. Yet to be
Triple
planned.
digits.
You know,
Maybe we'll retire at 99. No
we'll
syndication
just
for
launch a
us.
completely different show.
Yeah.
And we'll just leave like Let's Talk Oculus at 89. Sorry, 99. And I believe Let's Talk Oculus episode 100 will be out during that Connect kind of time. It's like if we time it, unless we like miss a week or two, it looks like somewhere in between September. I don't know the exact time it will be. So right around the Connect, which is kind of perfect. Kind of perfect. Samson, we'll get to what you're playing in a second, but any other games in that showcase that you've now recently become more excited about at all? Or
No.
no?
I mean, I was pretty high.
Yeah, fair.
So I haven't found out anything new about anything to increase that hype level,
Yeah.
so to say,
Me,
How
me is
about
the only
yourself?
the only one that I would say is I mentioned it last week as well, would be the Vampire the Masquerade Justice, just because when I watched that trailer back again, it gave me that Dishonored vibes. And actually I talked to Soul Fox, we were just talking on the Twitter DMs, and he was saying the same thing. He was like, Vampire the Masquerade of Justice is my like highlight kind of thing. But yeah, that's the one that I'm most excited about. And I believe that's on PSVR 2 as well. So that might be another one that
Probably.
may
Yeah, I think so.
gravitate to it. A lot, not gonna lie, not most
A
of
lot
them,
of
but
them.
there's a good chunk of these which were on PSVR 2. But so yeah, I
Also,
think
shout out to Soul Fox. If you don't sub to him, get on it because he's at like 95K, almost at that 100K on
yeah,
YouTube.
get him that plaque. He deserves it.
Yeah.
He deserves it for sure. Samson, what have you been playing?
I've been getting back into Synth Riders for some workouts here and there. Walkabout with Jenna a few times. We played the easy course Atlantis twice this week, and I realized playing it, I mostly just play the hard mode Atlantis because it's just so visually
So
stunning and I
nice,
just
yeah.
love to look at it.
Yep.
And I was like, I don't remember this one as much. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
been nice to get back in that. And then got into Rec Room and finally completed one of the quests. I forget what it was called, but there's a few like quests that you can do and unlock some gold armor for my avatar. It's pretty sweet.
Nice.
And yeah, it was me, Kai, Will, and Joyce, and we finally got 4 people for it. That's what you need. Normally, it's just me and 2 others, and we just can't quite get there. It's so fun, so fun.
Nice.
How about what you been able to get in any VR?
No, I've not brought my VR headset with me, so
Yeah.
unfortunately I
Okay.
haven't got into it. I did receive Walkabout mini golf with a new course. Obviously, the time of people listening to it, the Journey of the Center of the Earth is now out. So I've not actually been able to go into it. Have you managed to give a chance to get into
I
it?
have not. I had some family visit, and we only just got sorted out about
Oh.
15 hours ago. But friend of the show, Dave, got in, and he said it was, quote, the hard course is crazy. So I'm excited to get in. Crazy was in caps, so I didn't quite do that right. Crazy.
Oh, I wonder what he means by crazy. Does it mean like crazy in terms of crazy hard, or crazy there's so many elements going on and such?
So his scores were -11 easy, +2 on hard. Don't mean to put you on blast there, Dave, but so +2 on hard doesn't seem like it was obscenely difficult. That's like mostly pars.
Dave's a top player though. He's a
He is
good
very good.
walkabout
Yeah,
player.
he is
So
very good.
who's to say? But All right, excellent, excellent. I mean, we'll talk about that next time for sure when we've had both had a chance of playing it. But definitely go and enjoy Journey to the Center of the Earth for just a little bit of time until the
We
next
didn't
one comes out.
we didn't want spoilers, that's really why.
Yeah, right.
We give you a chance to get in. Give all you guys a chance
Yeah,
to get in. But
exactly.
yeah, the next course is already within like a month, right? It's
Yeah,
it
just
said
said
next month.
July.
That's
Just
crazy.
said
It's
July. So
crazy.
normally they tend to come out at the end of the
Late,
month,
yeah.
so it might be a month and a half in a way of, to be exact. But still, yeah, it's great to see another one in July. If we get up to that type of like having a monthly release, that would be fantastic. But
Wild.
every 2 months is still good enough, I think. It's just it keeps it fresh, and there's just so many courses in there which are all like excellent. So, all right.
Hours of fun with the family.
Let's talk about the revelation of NFL Pro Era first here. We talked about in the last week's podcast how because of the wording in the showcase, it sounded like it was a new game rather than an update. It sounded like that but it wasn't clear. It wasn't clear.
That was the
And
vibe
you've
I got. Yeah, it was the fact that he said this isn't going to be a roster update. So I'm like, all right, that seems like something that EA would say.
yeah. Yeah.
And I forget the verbiage, but there are a couple other ones where I was like, he's definitely walking a fine line here and is being very careful with the words. So I tweeted at them and I got a response, and they said they're not no more updates on the first NFL Pro Era, which apparently they've been promising updates to
Yeah.
people in their Discord, and people do not seem happy about that. So yeah, VR's made it, I guess. The fact that they think they can sell a yearly sports title.
Mm.
But yeah, I didn't buy the first one, and now I'm not really tempted to buy the second one, knowing how this first one's gone.
It depends. Like, if you're really into NFL, the first game is a lot of fun, though it does miss a lot of features. And you're right. I was never in their Discord, but because I knew multiplayer wasn't a thing in there, I found out that the multiplayer is something that they wanted to get in by February or by March, kind of like Super Bowl kind of time. That's what they were planning. At least I can't remember if I tweeted or I saw someone tweet that, and that was the response. So they had plans, obviously, and maybe couldn't get it done, or just decided this is too much of a big leap. It's worth just putting this into the second game. And it's a shame because that's a $30 game that is $20 at best because of the lack of features. Like it's more of this is the pre-game kind of tech demo, early access version, and then your full game comes out
Yeah.
at the end of this year, which is a
I
shame.
can't imagine this is like a completely reworked game, right? It's going to have probably the same graphics quality, I imagine, like
Yeah.
similar. I'll wait and see. But my gut is that it is not going to be worth a $30 or $40 upgrade,
No,
in my opinion.
no.
Unless you really want that multiplayer, I suppose.
Yeah, we've seen kind of this before, and I mean, Star Wars, Tales from the Galaxy's Edge when that came out, Jurassic World or Jurassic World Aftermath, right? When that came out, they were like half games, and they didn't really want to say that the second half will be coming soon as a paid kind of.
I feel like we knew that at least we knew they were going to be two parts. Same with Demio, right? We
Yeah.
knew at first it was going to be a part of the game, the Demio battles, but they were always open and talked to the community, I feel, and just were a lot more honest about that.
Mm.
Plus, they've continued to update the first. Well, we have 5 free maps
Oh, we've had
already.
loads of free. Yeah.
Yeah.
Has we ever had paid DLC for Demio yet?
No, not yet. Not yet.
No.
So I just it's my sense. I wasn't like a strong member of their community, but it's my sense from what I've heard from people who were in their Discord that they haven't really been too responsive to them. But we'll see. We'll see. I was never really gonna buy it probably. So I like I used to be a big Madden junkie, right? Like every single year buying Madden, but it's been well over a decade since I bought a Madden, and I'll watch football here and there. I'll keep up with the stats or whatever on whatever's going on, but playing as a QB or like in the NFL situation, I'm good. And I own 2MD, which is a game that's been receiving free updates for years from a small dev team. So if I ever have the itch to get in a football
Hmm.
game, there I am.
There you are. Yeah, you just don't have the official license, but
Yeah.
that's about it, right? So yeah, it's a bummer for me. I'm not gonna lie. I don't. It's a weird one though, because one on the other hand, people will go, what about FIFA? What about Madden? What about these big franchises? We've been doing this since day one on the flat screen consoles. But I think for me, we talked about it last week in terms of a niche within a niche. But for me, it's just that because the first game had those promised updates and the first game was lacking big features, right? No multiplayer, no apart from the actual season, nothing else, right? In terms of a big other modes that you could put in. A lot of things were lacking in that case. It was a good, solid game on paper. Like no custom plays. You couldn't do any custom plays. You couldn't draw up your own plays or anything like
It
that.
felt incomplete.
It felt incomplete, and it was a full price game on in VR standards, right? So yeah, it kind of rubs me the wrong way. Would
And
I
it's
be
outdated.
interested?
The rosters aren't up to date anymore. So it doesn't even matter that you have the players. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, if for me, I don't think I need a yearly sports title on the Quest. I don't think I need that on my VR headset. I still tend to buy FIFA almost every year. Depends when I get the itch. It depends, but I play it for like a couple of months and then I trade it in because I was like, I've got my itch, but I've scratched my itch. But this one, I don't think I need a yearly update,
And
yearly
like,
updated game from this.
all right, is NFL Pro Era 1 going to go down to $5, $10, right? Like I can
Or will it
buy
just
Madden
disappear?
I can buy Madden NFL 21 right now for 12.85 for PS4 because it's outdated. And that's the thing with those sports games, they become outdated and thus much cheaper to buy, right? Like I'll usually buy FIFA either a year later or now like at the end of the season because
Mm,
it's a fraction of the price and I don't necessarily need the updated rosters, right?
yeah.
But I'll buy them on the cheap end with, and maybe at NFL Pro Era I'd buy it $10 or whatever. But if they keep that at $30, that would be an interesting choice.
Yeah. And maybe we're just not the demographic to get this. Maybe like diehard football heads who liked Pro have no problem. Be like, yeah, I don't mind paying another 30, and that's absolutely fine. That's
Yeah,
totally fine. It's just more the promised updates and then it never came and then just not updating it at all moving forward, which
I'm
is
I'm
the
definitely
only thing.
not here to judge how someone spends their
No,
money or
no,
on a hobby or how they spend their free time because
no.
yeah, I I poke fun of myself saying I play way too much Geometry Wars and Pokemon trading card games. So
Yeah,
each their own.
whatever you more power to you if you're gonna buy it. That's not a problem. It was just the kind of like
Yeah,
ethics of it. But
it seemed deceitful. Yeah.
okay, moving on. We also had to Ask Boz, as I mentioned, which is for those of you who don't know, on Instagram, Boz normally puts he's the
CTO.
CTO. There you go. He's the CTO at Meta. Obviously primarily on the Quest systems, but uh, overlooking at most of their technologies, to be honest. But he normally does ask me anything on Instagram now and again. So we had one the other day, and he asked a few Quest 3 questions. So let's kind of go into them, and then we'll talk about them. So first things first, he said the weight and the FOV for the Quest 2 and Quest 3 are pretty much the same. Which is actually surprising to me. I didn't think the weight was going to be the same. I thought it was lighter. Some reports from Mark Gurman who tried it said it was lighter, but this is what he clarified it with. He said, although it's significantly more comfortable than the Quest 2, since there's less pressure on your face because the Quest sits closer to your face, i.e., there's not all that big plastic, right? The main part sticks closer to your face, and therefore, I can't remember what he meant, but in terms of the weight distribution, it feels
The center of gravity is
better.
closer to your face, yeah,
That's it.
and
That's
you
what I'm
the
trying to get.
inertia you don't have pulling away, because it sticks out further.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I feel like everything I didn't expect it to be lighter. I do expect it to feel better and the form factor to,
Mm,
feel better, but I feel like everything I heard, uh, never gave me the impression it would be all that lighter.
Yeah, I forget the Quest
Or the
Pro weight.
FOV. Yeah.
I forget the Quest Pro weight to Quest
It's
2.
heavier. It's way
Quest Pro is
heavier, I
heavier,
believe.
right? Yes,
Yeah,
you're
I
right.
think it's
Quest Pro is
700 something.
720. Okay, I want to say
Yeah.
this in British terms, but 722 grams, where the Quest 2 is 503 grams. So that's a 200 grams difference. What is
Yeah.
that in pounds? I couldn't tell you.
No,
But
everything. I mean, tech is usually in grams, even here.
okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
So it's 220 grams heavier, the Quest Pro. Yeah, when I had the Quest Pro, the way it fit on my face, the way how it was shaped, it never felt as heavy, in a way. Like maybe
Yeah.
a touch, but never that significant, right?
Yeah. When
So,
I put it on for the brief time at a friend's place, the weight wasn't something that stood out to me. In fact, it
no,
probably felt better because of it is,
it is
the Quest
closer in
2
a
is
way,
the Quest 2 is why,
wider. Yeah,
why, yeah, it's like, boom,
hmm
sticks out of your face further.
yeah, that's fair. FOV is the same, which is not a big disappointment to me, but I was hoping that the FOV was improved slightly. Coming from the PSVR 2, where the FOV is about 20 degrees more, I believe. That's just on the top of my head, but it's a big difference. But it's one of those things. FOV is quite funny that if you don't know any better, you don't know any better, right? Like me coming from the PSVR 2 going to Quest 2, I feel a little bit more tunneled. But then after I've been playing the Quest 2 way more than my PSVR 2, you just get used to it again, and that's just the norm. So I don't
Yeah.
think it's too much of a deal breaker, right?
Yeah, not at all. I think it takes more, processing power and whatnot, and they just don't think it's worth that to
Mm,
get the wider FOV, I believe, thermals and all that.
yeah, I agree.
But yeah, it does when you look at it, you're like and try to focus on it. I think the Quest 2 does appear like goggles, right?
It does, yeah.
You're like, oh, why do I have these goggles on? But then once you're immersed,
It doesn't matter.
that's just your FOV. Yeah.
You're right. It doesn't matter. You just get used to it. So I don't think it's a big deal
It's
either.
like people with glasses. They really just live life with fixed foveated rendering.
That is very true. The other thing that he said was controller tracking, on how it works, because we were intrigued with that. We thought it would be IR, and it is. So on the actual black part, which is the top of the controller, that is covered with the IR constellations. So the
Did he
IR.
say where it was? Because I also got the interpretation it might be all over.
Oh, I actually don't know. I think I thought he said on the top, but I may be
Yeah, I
wrong.
could be wrong too. Yeah.
I may be wrong, but well, I mean, most of your hand will be covering the rest of it. So that's what the
Yeah.
cool thing is that they've worked on a technology or at least intelligence that they can have some IR going on in the controller. But if the Quest can't see the IR, not a problem because hand tracking is so advanced now, and they've done really well with hand tracking. It uses hand tracking to know where your controllers are going to be, which is really clever.
I have to assume the depth sensor helps a lot with this tracking as well. Yeah.
I agree. I agree. I'm wondering if the Quest 2 controllers would also work with this. I'll be intrigued. But I don't think with these controllers we're having haptics and such. I got a feeling that there won't be a controllerless SKU going forward. I hope
Oh
there
yeah,
is,
yeah.
but I don't think there is going to be now. I would think it's just going to be that, and then if you want some of the pro features, you can get yourself a second set of controllers for pro. But
I will say the whatever these are called, the Touch Plus controllers that will come with the Quest 3 uh have deterred me from wanting the Pro
yeah,
controllers.
I'm not going to bother buying the pro
Yeah.
ones. No, and like I said, the only thing will tempt me is if I can have a controller SKU and then potentially buy those other ones. But I don't know. These controllers are good enough, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think I'll be all right. And then the final thing he just said, because someone asked along the lines of, why would you buy the Quest Pro now when the Quest 3 has a depth sensor, it has better color pass through, so
It's
the
better in
mix,
a lot of ways.
the mixed reality is gonna be better. Yeah, just in general, it'd be better in a lot of ways. It has better graphics because of the chipset. Why the hell would you buy the Quest Pro? And he said essentially the eye and facial tracking is a massive thing for you. So if you are doing meetings and such constantly, the eye and facial tracking is massive, because you need that kind of feedback to really understand someone when they're talking
Hmm.
and such, where no feedback is you're better off just using Zoom in a way. And also there's different social apps. So like Hangout Games that we play a few times on App Lab, that has support for the eye and facial tracking, so you can see people's actual reactions and such. And when you do see it working, it works really, really well, to be honest. So social games and potential like meetings and such is where eye and facial tracking are going to be better, and that's why you'd buy the Quest Pro. And also, he said personally that he much prefers the open end design. The open end, whether you can just see the bottom and it just fits on your forehead. He's a big fan of that, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm a big fan of that too. I was kind of sad that it wasn't actually on this, but it is what it is. That's just a pro feature. That's just the way.
Yeah, that was something I didn't like. So it's like the inverse,
Yeah, it did
feeling for
split the
me.
community. It did split the
Yeah.
community.
But
Yeah,
sorry, just a little cough there. Um, yeah, I think the Quest Pro is kind of silly now. It finds itself in between, right? I almost feel like they should have made it more expensive and given it more features or something like that to compete with that 2 to 3K whatever Apple will be at. Whereas now it's a little bit below that, but you're like, all right, I may as well just get the Quest 3 and 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 just not have
I
the
I'm
face
not
and
gonna
eye
lie.
tracking.
I feel sad to say this because I know a few people who have Quest Pros who bought it day one and such, but I really think that Meta have hit the bed is the right term with this for, really under delivered for those day one Quest
Yeah.
Pro users. And obviously people will go, the day one early adopters, the risks and such, but this is a really bad look, right? We had all
It's
the
within a
price
year,
drops.
right?
Yeah, less than a year. It's not been a year yet. When it'll be a year once the Quest 3 is out, right?
Yeah.
So you've had the big price drops, and then you've also got the fact that they're now coming out with a headset which is much cheaper, which apart from the eye and facial tracking, ought to all be honest with you, is just way better, right? In pretty much most of the times. And I guess you got okay, the Quest Pro does look nicer. And it does go on a dock and it's nice on your desk, sure, but no one's really want to pay the extra few $100s just for that. So I feel
Yeah.
really sad for Quest Pro owners because unless you really need that eye and facial tracking, then it's kind of like you've been burnt because now the Quest 3 is out. And I can see, I mean, there's probably already, but I can see a
They
lot
do
of
have nice
pros.
controllers too.
It does have nice controls. I give you that. But I can see, even though now it probably is as well, but I can see a lot of Quest Pros being on that Facebook Marketplace and such, trying to be
Yeah,
sold.
yeah, yeah. That might be the time to get one.
If you do want one. And I think I mentioned this last week as well. I feel like the Quest Pro will have an upgrade next year as well. I think they need to. Now that they've figured out this depth sensor, and that's why the Quest 3 has it. Boz mentioned that as well. That will be in the new Quest Pro, and obviously whatever Apple does, I'm sure they'll try and compete with whatever it does. So
My prediction is get rid of the Quest Pro line.
yeah, we'll see.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't necessarily, I'm not like, they will do this, but that's just like my gut. Give Apple that high end and really focus on this console sort of
Sure.
range. And yeah, I just feel like they'd be, if they could get the Quest 3 at a $300 price point, that's a lot more appealing to people than the second Quest Pro at 1K plus.
For sure. I mean, and also at the same time, you could think of it if Apple come out with a headset and it's say 2,500, say it's that's the price. Now Meta can go, oh, actually, now we have like another $1,000 we could technically work with to
Yeah.
try and get it to
Yeah.
that kind of scale, which might be better for them. And yeah, at the same time, Quest 3 is nice. The good thing about Quest 3 being priced at $500 is that I obviously you don't know the market, but most likely we are not going to have an increase in price like we've had with the PS5, we had with the Quest 2, we've had with some other tech,
Yeah.
right? But it gives them room to come down. and to have sales and such. So, next year
Dude,
you'll see it at $3.99 most likely with a game for Black Friday
I
or something.
I still can't believe they're coming out with a 128. That's probably the most surprising thing from it. Um,
My
128
biggest
is just gonna be too
disappointment.
small real quick. It's gonna be, and then you look at the price point is really gonna be 699, and that's a lot compared.
Yeah.
Then it's basically the Quest Pro minus the controllers, right?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, basically. Yeah, that's my only biggest disappointment is the 128 gig, but anyway, we'll see. We'll obviously talk more about it as the year goes on, and then we have the Connect, and I mean September's not far away, right? It's not far away. These things
And
come
they're
around.
saving we'll get to it in part two, but yeah, the mixed reality stuff for Quest 3.
Yeah, actually, that's a great
Oh.
segue. So let's end it here in part one, and in part two, we'll talk about a little bit of VR news, just a little sprinkle, just a little sprinkle.
Hey, we know public lobbies in VR games can be a bit toxic, feel a bit empty at times. That's why we created the Let's Talk Oculus Discord, a friendly community that you can join for multiplayer meetups, general VR chat, the game, and chat about VR, fitness motivation, and there's even a very impressive 3D printing channel. Join over 100 of our community members in the Let's Talk Oculus Discord for free. The link is right in the description.
All right, welcome back to part two. Let's talk about the sprinkle of news, as I mentioned. First things first, we have quite a lot of people who are saying the Quest 3 is ugly as hell. As we mentioned last week, I don't agree at all. I don't think it's ugly as hell. It's a bit odd looking with the 3, but it's...
All right, Dan, I'm not going to lie. I never really put it together that they have 3 pill cubes there to mark Quest 3. I was like, yeah, that makes sense. One's a depth sensor, 2 are cameras. That's why. But that was totally the deal.
I'm not gonna lie though, the design is very Apple, I think, in terms of I can see Apple doing something like that. I mean, look at the little notch on the iPhone and then how people then that looks stupid in a way, but they're like, no, this is just how it is and whatever. I'm gonna get used to it. So but I just want to mention this really quickly because Marcus Kane, who is a concept artist at Hyperware, yeah, I got that right, tweeted black mock-ups of the Quest. So basically completely changing it from white to black and having a glossy finish on the front. I'm not gonna lie, it does look kind of nice. It does look kind of nice with the black faceplate.
I mean, I thought it was coming in black when I looked at the website, and then somebody pointed out, no, I think that's just shadow. I was like, damn, it is.
The shadow is very dark
Those
on the
bastards.
website. It does look kind of black, or at least darker than just the pure white on the website. Absolutely, I agree. I always get mistaken every time I go on that Quest 3 website now and see it.
Yeah.
Like, we announce the black one.
I want a clear one. Whatever happened to the clear tech of like the late, when was that? It must have been early 2000s.
Oh, clear tech
So,
was
Game Boy
like
Color was late 90s, I guess.
N64, Game
Yeah.
Boy Color, Apple Mac, iMac or whatever.
Oh,
Those
those
the iMac with the color backs and such.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that little,
I mean,
the
the
little
Lynx.
circle puck, the puck mouse. Oh,
Yeah, yeah. The Lynx headset, which is coming out soon, official like to more consumers, that has a clear version, which kind of looks pretty nice. But I think clear plastics as well they're not as durable as like normal colored plastics. So I think that might be one of the reasons. But I don't know. At the same time, I have a clear Game Boy Color, and it still works to this day. It's like absolutely fine. So it is what it is. But yeah, the black ones are fine. The black Quest.
I saw some Steam Deck mods to make it clear. Look pretty cool.
Steam Deck were actually coming out with a clear.
Oh, that was them. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if that was official or just like a company is doing a clear one, but I think it was like official. Like the Valve are coming out. I think it was on The Verge the other day. Like the Steam Deck completely clear plastic. But yeah, that's all I want to say. There's black mocks coming up. This happened when the PS5 also got announced, and everyone was like, "Just let me see it in black." And people love black tech. That's what they love.
Just like options.
They just have options, right? I think you're right. I think it'd be cool if they had different colors of the Quest. Like you can buy it in like pastel blue, pastel pink, pastel orange.
It would probably cost more.
So. Yeah, probably. But anyway, let's get on to the actual proper news
Let's do
here.
it.
And Meta put out a mixed reality trailer featuring Mark Zuckerberg, and just to show you a little snippet of what mixed reality looks like. So he put on the Quest 3 and he played a boxing game. He had Demio, he had zombies and a shark coming out from his house, like, because the walls, there's like a window and a zombie came in and all that stuff. Then Boz came into it and they wanted to play multiplayer, so they both had Quest 3s and they were playing Broken Edge, which was really cool because the middle part of the room turned into a virtual reality and then the sides were his own
I was
room.
wondering if that was what they were seeing or if that was just part of showing it off, like when people record themselves in mixed reality type of deal.
I think that's what
That's
they're
hard to tell.
seeing. I think that's what they're seeing. But what I really like about this is that multiplayer aspect. I think you mentioned this last week or on the stream, but mixed reality unlocks local multiplayer, like a LAN party kind of feel, right? Where people bring their Xboxes, link them up and such and play Halo. This unlocks basically that. You can now have like a LAN party, quote unquote, with multiplayer.
Yeah.
And like you said that last time, the board games aspects of playing like Catan or Demio and such, so much better in mixed reality when you're next to the person, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It just feels so much better. It'll still feel weird for people outside of the VR because they'll just
Sure.
think you can't see them type of deal.
Sure.
But yeah, if you're in a group of 4 people all wearing Quest 3s and you can all see one another and the room and the board game, potentially changing board game night, much like the Tilt 5.
Yeah, I'm really excited for the mixed reality features. I think it'd be really cool. Playing games like Chess VR and Cubism and such. I'm really excited to do mixed reality. Because like I said before, you could just have something on in the background or whatever, and you could just play some chill out games.
So one of the games I thought about, I kind of want it, but I'm like, I'm not going to use my Oculus 30 on this because it's so cheap. It's a Rube Goldberg game. It's only $10.
Okay.
Where Rube Goldberg machines
Yeah, no,
where you
I
like
don't
drop
know
a marble and it goes everywhere or whatever.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can kind of build those into your play space. They can
Yes.
take over your whole room type of deal.
Yeah.
And that game would be pretty cool, I think.
The
with
workshop,
the Quest 3.
right? Yeah, I remember this. Kit came out recently, didn't it?
Yeah, it's fairly new, yeah.
That's true.
But
I mean,
it's not,
the trailer did show mixed reality, didn't it?
yeah,
With the dominoes
exactly.
and all that stuff.
I'm just not as interested in playing it in black and white mixed reality. So
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. But yeah, I'm actually really excited with mixed reality. I hope it's exactly how they're showing. I think it will be. And I just think it's just unlocks a second way of playing VR. I don't have to just be in my room or secluded from housemates or anything like that. I can put it on and just play chess and kind of have them there. And it will look weird for them in a way, but it's just it adds like a more social aspect to VR rather than just being in your own. Just another option once again, right? So,
and someone asked Boz why they didn't show mixed reality at this showcase, and I think he said we need to save something for Connect.
mm-hmm.
So expect a good amount of mixed reality shown at Connect.
Yeah, I think they'll show most of mixed reality, and then
which I think was your prediction too.
Yeah, I think they'll show most of mixed reality at the Connect because it's more of a tech kind of feel, and also I think they'll show like 2 or 3 VR games, like stuff like Behemoth, if GTA is real, GTA. I think they'll trickle in a couple. Like they did last time in the last Connect, they did show a few.
I've seen people saying that they think GTA is going to be a Quest 3 exclusive, and that's why they've been waiting and holding on to it. I still think it's kind of dead.
I think if they can get Asgard's Wrath working, and like with a Quest 2 as well, I feel like they can do this one too. But I don't know.
I mean, there's a lot. If you look at Asgard's Wrath 2, there's never really more than 10 enemies or whatever on the screen at once. And think about what's going on in GTA.
Yeah, that's
all the physics. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very true. I'm not sure. Yeah, because of Assassin's Creed, it gives me hope. But yeah, I don't know. Anyway, moving on to our second and last news story. The Secret of Retropolis 2 has early access, which has been confirmed to come out on June 14th. So a week after you're watching this, June 14th. It's on App Lab as well, the early access. I'm interested to see if Retropolis 2 will completely come out in App Lab, or are they only doing it because it's on App Lab at the moment? They're saying it's early access, but then when the full game when the game makes its way to the store, that will be its major like release kind of thing.
Because the first one's on the store, yeah?
Yeah. Went straight to the store, I believe. Actually, I don't really know that, but it is on the store. It is on the store, definitely. Yeah. Secret
That one was fun, man.
It's also it's called Never Say Goodbye, and I forgot to write in the script exactly how it is because I had the whole text of what they said exactly how the game is. All I remember is that it's a sci-fi theme in this one.
And I imagine it's similar gameplay, like the point and click type of deal.
Yeah.
Not point and click,
like that
but
movie,
point and click for VR, yeah.
Yeah. For those of you who haven't played the first one, I definitely recommend you go get it. I think it might be on sale as the time of recording, but it's not that expensive anyway. It's not a long game. It's split into two parts. The first part is very quick. The second part is better because it's a bit longer as well. Highly recommend if you've not.
It was good. I got stuck at one point, so my PlayStation was a little longer, and I remember having to. All right, and VR is so hard because there aren't like game facts, right? So I had to like try to find someone playing like a let's play, and then just watch that part of it. Yeah.
Okay, now I've got the details up, so let me just read this out for everyone listening to so you know more about the game. It said this time you'll be able to get lost in a brand new sci-fi mystery spanning over 4 new episodes, so rather than 2 from the first one.
Double.
They said you'll engage in a battle of minds and the sick new villain, and use only your wit, your hovering inventory, and a pair of extendo arms to uncover the truth. Yeah.
That's what made it point and clicky, right? You used your arms to.
Yeah, that's exactly right. They also said that it continues the story of Philip Log from the first game, who is a hard-boiled robo-detective, and Jenny Montag, who was also in the first game as well. And it also says, don't worry if you're new to the series, you'll be able to fully experience in Retropolis 2 in its own mini-series. So you don't need backstory. So you don't need to play the first one, but I recommend you do because it's a short game and it's worth it. It's a really relaxing kind of title. Not too difficult. You might get stuck. Everyone will get stuck, but it's a solid title. I really liked it. I was a big fan of the first one.
It was good.
Yeah, for sure. All right, that will do for part 2. In part 3, we will talk about our games out this month.
Let's Talk Oculus is available on all good podcast platforms and some rubbish ones as well. If you want to see the video version, it's available on YouTube and Spotify. And also, if you love us so much, then consider throwing us $1 at patreon.com/Let's Talk Oculus. Back to the show.
All right, welcome back to part 3, games out this month. So I'm going to read the first 2 because there's no description. They are App Lab games, and for App Lab games, it doesn't really come on App Lab until it actually comes out, and there's nothing to say a description. So I'm going to say this one real quick. First one, we have Quantar. This comes out on June 7th on App Lab, and Quantar is essentially a Super Smash Brothers meets VR. You can play in first person, and you can play in third person. We also had a talk with a couple of people at Quantar. We talked to the head marketing person. I forget their names on the top of my head. And we also, and Peter, right? Yep. And we also talked to Peter, who was the main dev. He's the founder of the company who makes Quantar. So next week's episode is actually going to be an interview with them two, talking about their new release.
And Dan, I can read the Steam store, what the Steam store page says, if you'd like.
Is it fun?
I'll give it a go. I like to read. Quantar is a free-to-play VR party brawler. Command heroes with distinct class-based roles and enhance hero abilities with cores to compete in multiple game modes. Party with friends in social-themed rooms and customize yourself with cosmetic skins.
Beauty. So like I said, with that comes out June the 7th, and we have an interview with 2 of them next week. Also, Secret of Retropolis 2, as we just mentioned, that's June 14th. We don't need to talk about that because we just talked about that. Samson, fire away. What else is coming?
Pixel Ripped 1978, June 15th. Pixel Ripped 1978 is the newest game in the Pixel Rip series. Our hero Dot has to once again fight against the evil Cyblin Lord. who has a very complex plan to hack into the game creator's past at Atari and to make himself the protagonist. But Dot isn't alone in this crazy endeavor through time. She has the help of Bug, Pixel Rip's creator herself, as they join forces to dispel Sideline Lord and launch the game on time.
Sounds fun. It sounds really fun. I've not actually played the first one, but I've been recommended it many times, and I feel like I should play it first. But
it's one of
adventures.
It's one of Alex VR's favorite games. It's one of his.
Yeah.
He said he plays it a lot. I have played an hour or two of the first one in my typical fashion. I haven't beat it yet, and I didn't play the second one yet. And I'm hoping that they package all three together so I can just kind of pick them up on Steam.
Yeah,
and then just kind of play through them. Yeah, it's fun though. It was fun. I just, it's just me. It's just me. I don't finish that many games. Vertigo 2 is like one of that like goes to show how good Vertigo 2 was. The fact that I played through a friggin' 15-hour campaign
and finished it
in a week,
which doesn't happen often. Gosh, I wish they bring Vertigo 2 to at least the PSVR 2 or just different platforms so other people can play it for sure. Because I've heard nothing but good things about that, and obviously with your raving reviews as well. But that is everything. That's the show. Is there anything else that you had on top of your mind? Any flat screen stuff you have on top of your mind, or not really?
Not really. Not really. I can't even think of flat games that I've been playing, honestly. Oh, I bought like a random a random Medal of Honor game. So I played about an hour or so of that. Yeah.
Which one did you buy?
It's just called Medal of Honor.
Oh, the reboot. The reboot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It came out in 2010. So
yeah, that's a reboot. And the first Medal of Honor reboot is actually very well received. I never actually played it because it was reminding me a lot like Call of Duty, and I didn't really want that, but it got 9 out of 10s. The second part of that one though, I think it's called Warfighter or something like that. It's like the sequel to this one. Tanked. Awful reviews. They quit the game after that. Never came out.
Yeah, I saw it was very positive, and that multiplayer doesn't really exist, and multiplayer didn't really appeal to me. I was just like, oh, this is and it said a short campaign, and that was like a selling point to me. I was like, oh, okay, I can play through this in a couple days. So yeah, I imagine I'm like an hour in. I imagine I'm about a quarter of the way through.
Sure. Yeah, it's just one of those. It's one of those. But no, there's some, honestly, it's with movies as well. Some movies are just too long nowadays. It's like, give me that 90-minute movie again. There's not many of them. Mario is actually 90 minutes, but there's not many 90-minute movies anymore. And I say that with games too. There's not many quick. I mean, there is in VR, but in terms of flat screen, there's not many like quick to finish games anymore out there.
People want their open world 50+ hour games.
Yeah, more bang for your buck, but I just never get through them. So that's the problem. So, if I never get through them, then what's the point? But it is what it is. Okay, perfect. All right, so everyone who's still listening, just to outline the rest of this month. Next week, like I said, we have the Quantar interview, just because I'm away on vacation. Then the week after, most likely we won't have a pod because I'll be coming back and I don't think I'll have time. But then the next time we'll have a guest, we'll have Show Futuristic on the show, talking about basically we'll know the Apple VR headset by that point. So we'll be talking about what the state of VR is right now, in June 2023, and kind of talk about that. And Show's great. If you've not seen his YouTube channel, Show Futuristic, he's very good at opinion pieces. He has a lot of good thoughts. Sure. So I'm excited to have him on the show.
And he popped into the live stream. So if you're listening out there, Show, thank you so much.
He was definitely. So yeah, that's our kind of like what's going to happen in June. So until the next episode, thanks everyone for listening. Thanks everyone for watching. Thank you to the new Patreons, and we will catch you next time.
See you next time on Let's Talkulus.